Hey candle friends, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, hi, I'm Ashley. I'm the owner of Mrs. Frizz & Co., a small batch candle business located in Ontario, Canada. On this channel, we talk about everything from making candles and like products to a behind the scenes look at owning your own small handcrafted brand. If that is something that interests you, I would love for you to hit subscribe and come back. I post new videos every Friday. Today, I want to talk about candle business mistakes. And some of these are things that I see other businesses doing, and some of them are things that I was guilty of when I started out. Now, preface, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I probably make lots of mistakes. And, who knows? Maybe in 6 months, a year, I'll have an updated video about things that I was doing now that were wrong. But I'm just hoping that with some of these common mistakes, we can nip them in the bud and not make them. So these are some things that I've seen or that I've personally done. And if you're somebody who is just getting started, if you're feeling a little bit stuck, I'm hoping that some of these things will save you some time and some money. So let's get into it. The biggest mistake I honestly think any small business can do, but I'm going to gear this towards candle makers, is underpricing your product. We do this for so many reasons. Imposter syndrome, comparing ourselves to like big box brands who, mass produce millions of candles and are able to have candle blowouts where they're selling something that we might make valued at $30 and they can sell it for $7. Listen, it's a scale thing. We're just not that. And that is a big draw to why people buy our candles, but you need to be honest with yourself. You need to price things accordingly. I have a video where I go over how I price things. It's kind of like a broad overview of how I price things. I'll link it. But what I touch on in that video is that I make different margins on different products, but I do it in a way where I level everything out to make a specific margin. You can do that. You don't have to use the old school rules about pricing your candles where, times 2, times 4, whatever. Just make sure that however you are pricing your candles, they are not undervalued, because this is going to cause burnout. You're going to be putting all this time and energy into something and you're not going to be seeing the return on it. And that is the easiest way to give up on your small business. The next thing that I see people doing that I question, I'm not saying this is a mistake. If it works for you, fine. But especially in a day and age where we are selling so much more online without people being able to physically hold and smell our products, you need better descriptions. You need to get people to invoke their senses and know what your candle smells like. A lot of my candles, I actually name them with some of the notes in the candle. I think it makes it a little easier for people to kind of imagine what it might smell like, like lily bell and cucumber, rhubarb and sweet cream, um, amberwood and saffron. If you are making candles that have names, like um, cozy cabin or beach days, whatever, you need to tell people what these smell like. On my candles, my labels include a top, a middle, and a base note, so people can kind of imagine what they're going to smell like if they're not physically sniffing the product. And when you are doing website descriptions or even just like social media content, you need to put people in a place where they can imagine what they are smelling. Because if you just say, oh, I have this candle called Vanilla Vibes, they're not going to have any idea what that smells like. Okay. So make sure you're not missing key information when trying to get somebody to purchase your product when they are not physically holding it. People cannot smell through screens, guys. You need to paint a picture for them of exactly what your candle smells like. You need to help them imagine where they're going to put this candle, what kind of feelings and emotions it's going to trigger for them. That is the best way to get somebody to purchase something without physically holding it. The next thing that I notice a lot is brands not having a clear niche or even clear branding. There are so many candle businesses that I see out there that are just trying to please the masses. And I say this in so many of my videos, but like, we're small, handcrafted brands. We are not Bath and Body Works. We cannot compete on that scale. We cannot carry that many candles. It's not sustainable. When you are trying to please the masses, more likely than not, you are pleasing no one because you don't have that. You are not dialed in to who your ideal customer is. And this is so important when you are a small brand. If you grow and you can scale, to a storefront and staff and fine, have all of these different lines. Sure, that might make sense in your new business model. But when you're working out of your home, your kitchen, your garage, whatever, and you are selling small scale, you need to really hone in on your ideal customer and what your niche and branding looks like to that person. So for me, I mean, it's not exciting. I don't have a fun like theme really that ties into my brand, but I am simple, minimalistic, almost timeless. I offer a clean, modern candle. I tie all of my lines together. If all of my products were sitting on a table with other brands scattered throughout them, you would be able to pick out all of my candles. My labels are all cohesive. My branding is cohesive. Even though I use some different vessels for some seasonal collections, you still know that that is all my branding. Everything becomes easier once you have sorted out your niche and your branding, what your brand stands for, what your content voice sounds like, because you know who you're talking to. You know who your ideal customer is. I see so many brands out there that are just trying to please everybody. And honestly, you're going to please nobody if that is what you're doing. The next mistake I see a lot of small candle businesses making is not focusing on repeat customers. Yeah, it's great. You can have, 10,000 customers, but if they only buy from you one time, you're going to run out of people. Okay. You need people. It doesn't need to be 10,000. You could have 100 customers. If they're buying from you regularly, you are their candle person. That is going to help you tenfold. It is also a lot simpler to appeal to them than it is to keep trying to appeal to the masses and draw in new customers. It's draining trying to hustle for each sale. That's not what we want to do. We want to sell a product to a person and have that person return to us. It makes everything so much easier. I have a video about repeat customers, which I'll link, but honestly, this isn't hard, guys. Make sure that your customers feel appreciated. Follow up with them, include them in discussions about your lines. Have a line that doesn't change so that that's consistent and they always know that they can get their favorite products from you. Offer perks to return customers, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You can just offer them early access sometimes. Um, Besides creating that little bit of urgency when you have like limited editions and new launches, offering return customers early access also just makes them feel that little bit extra, and they feel like they've been seen, that they are, they have a relationship with you. And that is so huge, especially when you're doing a lot of online selling. Being able to develop some type of connection with somebody that you are never going to meet face to face is huge. So make that customer feel appreciated and make them want to come back. Return customers are the biggest praise that your company can receive. And the last mistake I want to talk about is changing everything up too often. I notice this all the time. I follow a lot of, small candle businesses on social media, and some of them I feel like they have new drops literally every couple weeks. Like it is, I have no idea how they're keeping up with it. They're changing their branding and they're changing their packaging. And listen, I get it, especially when you're starting out, you're going to play around with different things to kind of find out what works and what really resonates with you and your ideal customer. But the problem is, if you're changing things all the time, especially after you're, a little established, it's very confusing to customers. You could have people who have bought your product in the past, and if you change your vessels, change your labels, change everything, they're going to see your product and they're not even going to know it's yours. And now it's that having to get that initial sale from a customer again, whereas they would probably gladly be a return customer, but they don't know that's you. Every time you switch your jars, switch your labels, switch your branding, your customers need to relearn who you are. Okay. So you're back at square one trying to get that initial sale versus having somebody become a repeat customer, which we just talked about and is very important. Evolving slowly and strategically is so important versus constantly pivoting. You're going to burn yourself out. Your brand is probably never going to be perfect to you. It is a harsh reality that I have learned to accept, and I will continue to modify things, but in a way where it's not shocking to my customer and they will always know that that is still my product. Okay. I am not forcing any customers to ever relearn what my brand is. Just one more thing that has kind of come to me that I just wanted to touch on a little bit because I do see this happening a lot. And that is being a small handcrafted brand being run by one person. I know in all of our social media posts and online, we always say we. Guys, it's not we, it's me, it's you. I mean, maybe you have a partner or a spouse, that's helping you, but for the most part, our small businesses are started with one person. There's one driving force behind this. And a lot of times, it might not even be your only job. Or I'm lucky that right now my only other job is being a mom and trying to keep my three small humans alive and happy and healthy. But that is a full time job. And doing this in addition to that is so much work. So I see you. If you are somebody who has a full time job and kids, and you're doing this as like a side hustle to try and turn it into something bigger, let me just give you one more tip. Take your time. You do not need to launch your business and be in stores and be doing markets in person and be launching some wild website and be trying to get wholesale accounts. Be kind to yourself. Let your business evolve in the way it is supposed to. Focus on one thing at a time because burnout is real. And when you put too much pressure on yourself and try and do all of the things, it very easily becomes easier to do none of the things. So I just kind of wanted to add that in because as I was kind of editing and going through my notes, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I missed the biggest thing. And I see so many small candle businesses doing this. Right now, in the last few months, as I've been signing up for my Christmas markets, I'll always go look at who's done the markets previous, right? Because there's a good chance they could be there again. And I would like to see if our products are similar. It's kind of how I, check out the scene and make my decision as to what events I want to do because they're a lot of work. They take me away from my family and I don't want to go and have a direct competitor there whose products look very similar to mine or we have very similar scents. Um, and I notice so often that when I go to people's social media, and this could just be a matter of them just not being on top of their social media, but if you look a little bit into it, you'll see like they were so active for years and then it just stops. And I've talked to some small business owners who have just burnt out, and they were doing well, but then it just became too much and said they would take a break and they just never get back into it because once you're burnt out from something, the joy of it is gone. And I think I think most people who make candles and similar products for a living or want it to be their living, I think we do this because we love the craft. I don't think there's very many people out there who are like, "Oh, candles, that sounds lucrative and easy. I'm going to get into that." I don't think that's the case. I think we do this because we love the craft. We find enjoyment in it. You know, once that enjoyment is gone, it's very hard to get it back. So do yourself a favor, scale accordingly. Do not jump in the deep end head first and just think that it's all going to happen overnight. That's it for today. These mistakes do not mean you're doomed. They mean that you're learning and growing, and that's okay. But hopefully, you watched this and now you are able to make smaller changes and not worry about certain things because we need to focus on what's really important in our businesses. That is what's going to help us grow, and that is what's going to help us remain a sustainable business. I would love to know in the comments below what candle making mistakes you have made on the business side of things while launching your business. Let's try and help newer creators not make the same mistakes as us. And As always, I would love for you to hit like and subscribe and come back next Friday for the next video. Have a great week. Bye, candle friends.